Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we're back with an opinion video, and as you have read in the title, I am talking about motion picture film, cinema film, call it whatever you want, whatever they put in Hollywood into the cameras to shoot the movies with actual film, not digital cameras like Red or Arri or something like that. So one of the things that happens in still photography is film is made by factories in these humongous rolls. Just imagine like a huge carpet and just rolled into like, or tin foil, but like huge rolls. And these get cut into what they call pancakes, and those get perforated or not, and then put into 35mm canisters, 120 film, sheet film, cinema or motion picture, basically cans and so on. The problem we've had in the recent future or recent history of film photography is that due to a lot of the industry dying when digital came in, we've lost a lot of what they called converting power. And converting is what they call in the industry turning pancakes or big chunks of film into, or master rolls, or not master rolls, you know what I mean, like big rolls into small rolls we can put into our cameras. The factories that used to be able to do this have mostly closed. We have like Agfa, Konica, Ilford had a bankruptcy. Then we had Kodak closed a bunch of factories. Fujifilm is basically missing, and so on and so on. The list is very long. Actually, nowadays, the list of people or companies that can actually finish film, convert film, you can count with one hand. And those are mostly, the biggest one is basically Kodak, and the second biggest one is Ilford. And then you have a couple smaller ones that are supposedly starting to improve their capacity of converting film. And for this reason, Kodak in recent history too has had a lot of problems with finishing rolls of film, but has had no problem manufacturing master rolls. And these master rolls have been basically sent to the motion picture industry to make movies. They've been made and spliced for companies like Cinestill, and also other industries that are using a film. Like, for example, there's basically, you can order from Kodak master rolls of certain films, but the problem is they can't finish film fast enough, because when Fuji stepped sideways or down, whatever you want to call, Kodak has to fill in that void with their film, and the market is growing. And I'm not saying it's growing crazy, but it's growing, and the problem is the demand. The capacity to make this film and finish this film was basically 100% to the market maybe 5 years ago, but now we have 3 times the market, which is still a very small number compared to the old days, but that is way more than they can do in the converting. And if you've been around film photography, you'll know that Kodak survived the bankruptcy mostly, or not mostly, but one of the big reasons is the Hollywood, the cinema industry basically said, hey, we want to shoot movies on film. Please keep making it. Here is our order for the next X amount of years. And with that, Kodak was probably able to get maybe some financial help and so on. Well, now that we can't find Portra 400, Portra 160, Kodak Ektar, Gold, Color Plus, almost anywhere, and you probably have noticed this around your stores or local lab or local camera store doesn't have any 35mm color, is due to the fact that they can't finish it fast enough. And that there is where I think motion picture film is going to fill in the void. And it is already filling the void. We have people like Cinestill converting and being able to deliver film, even though they're also sold out almost all the time. We have people like Silver Souths that's actually doing this in Germany and selling actual real ECN2 film, because Cinestill, don't forget, has no remjet. So it is the same film that you use in movies, but they remove the remjet, so it has that no anti-halation layer. It does those weird auras around the lights that some people love, some people hate. But all people, you can buy motion picture film, no problem. You can order cans of 35mm film, you can order cans of 16mm film and shoot your movies and so on. But you could also go ahead and buy those cans and respool them 235, like reusing like this canister here that has a bit of a leader. You can re-spool this film, shoot it. The problem is ECN2 or true ECN2 development is a bit more gunky. Not all the labs take it. Some do it. For example, Nation Photo, a huge lab that has multiple labs in Paris, has had to convert a mini lab to do ECN2 because Parisian people, photographers, were wanting to shoot color film, but there was none in stock. So they said, well, let's make ECN2 machine to make it easy to develop, and we can re-spool Vision 3 or 250D, 500T, 50D, and so on, which is Kodak motion picture film, into our still photography canisters. And this is why I think the future at the short term of film photography, color film photography, is going to be motion picture film, because this has no limit in supply, or theoretically no limit with the current market of supply of film. But the problem is the canisters. You can't just like get Kodak to finish. So as finishing right now is a huge bottleneck for the industry, we are going to have to rely on ECN2. And before you ask, yes, ECN2 is a different process than C41. You can actually develop it in C41, same as you can do C41 and ECN2. Colors shift a little bit. But all this is said, film for motion picture is made to have a very good or very low contrast. It will, like, highlights are very contained and shadows have info, and it's basically made for color grading. If you've never seen how a Sony Alpha S3 shoots in S-Log, it's basically like a muddy image. So when you scan ECN2 film, you'll get a bit more of a flat image, but then in post, yes, we are hybrid photographers. We shoot film, we scan film, and then we publish on social media and different digital assets or digital forms, or even print. We have to play with saturation, vibrancy, and so on. So motion picture film is actually really, really flexible and lets you do so much with your negatives that sometimes your normal Portra or Ektar can't do. It kind of like, you can take it towards Ektar and saturate a bit more. You can take it toward Portra and make the palette be a bit more muted, or you can do whatever you want. The one problem you will have is if you're wet printing and you're in the darkroom, obviously ECN2 film is not going to print as nice as normal Portra or Ektar, because there's no built-in saturation. It's made for scanning and then color grading in your video editor of choice, like if it was a Hollywood movie. So yeah, I think we have to start opening our mind to ECN2 being the future. Film for ECN2 is usually quite inexpensive if you're buying and bulk loading yourself. Obviously, if you're buying from retailers like Silver Salads or some lab that's making it, usually it's a bit more expensive because they have to pay for putting it into the canisters. And I'm sorry, that takes a lot of time. It's a very hands-on process. But if you do want to buy color film and you can't find your Portra, your Ektar, your Color Plus, you might want to start looking at as ECN2. And sometimes kits like Bellini makes them, and I think Tetanol makes it too, and developing it at home. The only thing is you have Remjet, which if you've never heard of it, is basically gunky and dirty and stuff, but it's very easy to remove. So yeah, my opinion today's week is motion picture film is once again going to save the color film industry, hopefully, because as I said, Kodak can make master rolls non-stop, and the problem is they can't finish. And while they figure out the adding a new factory for converting, a new line for converting, we should try to support them as much as we can. And motion picture film is probably the best way. If you start buying cans of 500T and respooling at home, it's going to help them. And for this, I think we have to try it. I have never tried it yet, and I'm making this video kind of a letting me know that I should do it myself and do what you say, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm very curious if you think ECN2 is worth it, it's not worth it, if do you like it, if you think it's expensive or cheap or like screwed up. One thing, don't send ECN2 film to a lab without letting them know it is that, because you'll gunk all their mini labs, and this is a horrendous process to clean a machine, a mini lab, if it has remjet inside. So please, please, please beware of that. And yeah, these videos, opinion videos, are sponsored basically by you guys, either through donations or Patreon. So I'll leave the links to those below. If you want to help me make more, or you think I should have a different hot take, I'm very happy to hear your comments. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. Bye.